In the summer of 1982, an explosion occurred in Siberia. 3 kilotons, the equivalent of a small nuclear device. It was visible from space. The Soviet Union made no announcement. No emergency services were reported. No casualty figures were released. As if it had not happened. Then the twist, delivered very slowly. The weapon was not a missile, not a bomb, not a military strike of any kind. It was software. Software that the Soviets had stolen from a Canadian company. Software they had installed themselves in their own pipeline control systems. They built the weapon. They installed it. They didn't know it had been modified. This is confirmed in the memoirs of Thomas Reed, director of the National Security Council under President Reagan, published in 2004, on the public record. And it was not an isolated incident. In the next 11 minutes, I am going to show you 3 things. First, a KGB colonel named Vladimir Vetrov, who handed the CIA the most complete picture of Soviet industrial espionage ever assembled, and whose betrayal made what came next possible. Second, the operation the CIA designed in response. Not defensive, offensive, using the Soviets' own theft network as a delivery system for a weapon. And third, what this tells us about every war fought since. Because the Siberian pipeline was not the last time a software weapon caused physical destruction. It was the first. Colonel Vetrov, the man who started it. Vladimir Vetrov, KGB colonel. Head of the directorate responsible for stealing Western technology. In 1981, Vetrov made contact with French intelligence, not for money. He despised what the Soviet system had become. Over 18 months, he passed more than 4,000 documents to French intelligence, who shared everything with the CIA. The file was codenamed the Farewell Dossier. What was inside? The names of 250 Soviet intelligence officers stationed in the West. The names of 400 Soviet agents inside Western companies, and the complete Soviet industrial espionage shopping list. Every piece of Western technology the Soviets needed. Every gap between what they could build and what they required. CIA Director William Casey brought the Farewell Dossier to Reagan. Reagan approved what came next. The US would not simply expel the Soviet agents. It would let the Soviets continue stealing. But the things they stole would be booby-trapped. The logic bomb. Each step of the operation is a separate documented beat. The Soviet Union needed pipeline control software, sophisticated SCADA systems, supervisory control and data acquisition, to manage pressure, flow rates, and valves across thousands of kilometers of Siberian pipeline. Soviet intelligence identified a Canadian company with exactly the software they needed. They tasked their agents to steal it. What they did not know, the CIA knew they were coming. The CIA worked with the Canadian company, and the software the Soviets stole had been modified. The modifications were undetectable in initial testing. The software would function normally for a period of time. And then, at a pre-programmed moment, it would instruct the pipeline control systems to increase pressure far beyond operational safety limits. In the summer of 1982, the software activated. 3 kilotons, the largest non-nuclear explosion in the history of the Cold War. No Soviet citizens were killed. The pipeline was in a remote area of Siberia. but the psychological effect was devastating. Soviet engineers could not explain why their systems had failed. They could not trust the technology they had acquired. They could not know what else had been compromised. Everything they had stolen was now suspect. Operation Exodus, the broader war. Build to the present-day connection. The Siberian pipeline was not an isolated incident. Operation Exodus was a systematic campaign. Using the farewell dossier's shopping list as a targeting guide. Turbines for power plants delivered with flawed metallurgy. Chemical plant formulas altered to be subtly ineffective. Machine tools designed to malfunction after a period of use. In each case, the Soviets received exactly what they asked to steal. And what they received quietly failed. Reagan is reported to have approved the operation with one comment: "Sounds right to me." The farewell dossier operation ended when Vetrov was exposed. He was convicted of murder, unrelated to his espionage, and executed in 1985. No official U.S. acknowledgement of Operation Exodus was made until 2004. And then came Stuxnet. 2010, Iranian nuclear centrifuges destroyed by a software weapon. Deployed in secret, denied for years. The same playbook. 28 years later, in 1982, the United States conducted a military operation against the Soviet Union. No soldiers were deployed. No bombs were dropped. No declaration of war was made. A piece of software was modified. And a pipeline exploded in Siberia. It was, by most definitions, an act of war, conducted in complete secrecy, not acknowledged for 22 years. And today, in 2026, critical infrastructure around the world runs on software. Power grids, water treatment, hospital systems, financial networks, air traffic control. Here's the question the Siberian pipeline leaves you with. If a line of code could destroy a pipeline in 1982, and a line of code destroyed Iranian centrifuges in 2010, how many systems right now are running software that someone, somewhere, has already modified? In 1977, scientists detected a signal from deep space. 72 seconds. Never detected again. In 2024, scientists published an explanation. The explanation requires a phenomenon also never observed in nature. 47 years later, still no answer. Watch We Don't Know.